My name is Miles Frazier, and this is a presentation on the 1985 anime movie Vampire Hunter D, in which I will be analyzing the differences and similarities that the movie has to the traditional idea of the vampire. The movie centers around D, a vampire hunter who also happens to be a half vampire himself. Um, and as you can see here, like Blade, he isn't a vampire, but he is half vampire and he hunts vampires. Um, However, he still is disliked by everyone in the town, except for those that are also considered outcasts. He's very good at being a vampire hunter, and this likely comes as a result of the fact that it's all he's able to do, as everyone else doesn't really accept him. They sort of look at him as an outsider. However, when Doris, the girl pictured, is bitten by a vampire, she needs help being cured, and so she reaches out to D, which is only happens because she too is an outcast. She's been infected by the disease, and the people of the town no longer accept her. This is where we start to get into a lot of the differences that this movie has to the traditional ideas of the vampire, because she goes to him to help for a cure, and this is the man that infected her. This is Count Magnus Lee. He is a vampire, as is common in stories about half vampires. But unlike a lot of other vampires, he has a tremendous amount of social power. He's a count, he lives in a castle, and he's definitely feared and to an extent respected by the people of the town. And he's the one that bites Doris. Additionally, vampires are killed and dealt with in a lot of the traditional ways. You have garlic, crosses, and wooden stakes. However, more powerful vampires can resist a lot of these. And additionally, vampirism can be cured by killing the vampire that infected the victim, which is the movie's plot. Doris hires D to kill Count Lee, and the story of the movie is their battle because he's one of the most powerful vampires. Dee's status as an outsider does align with the traditional allegory of vampirism as a racial issue, as he is half vampire, half human. He's rejected by both, and he states numerous times over the course of the movie that he's lonely and that he has really no choice but to live this life, the life of a vampire hunter. And he definitely does end up lonely. It's something that can be lived with, of course. The biggest example of that being Magnus Lee. He's a powerful political figure, and he is a vampire. However, when we see D as a half vampire, that isn't something that is really can be lived with. D is sort of on his own, and he doesn't really spend much time in society. He's a rider, and he only comes across Doris when she stops him on the trail. Dracula also exists in this universe, and interestingly enough, he is his lineage of vampires is that lineage that ends with Count Magnus Lee and his daughter. So that ties into the ideas of heritage and ideas of like the outsider, because even though they are vampires, they do have this long lineage, and so they're almost not outsiders, whereas D definitely is. The fact that revenge can cure vampirism means a lot. It gives a moral for the disease, and it also gives power to the victim by taking vengeance on the vampire that infected them. They are capable of relieving themselves of this curse, which is a lot more of an empowering message than a lot of the traditional vampire stories give, where it's sort of something you're stuck with. So in conclusion, Vampire Hunter D exhibits a lot of traits of traditional vampirism, and in doing so, it lends a lot of importance to the places where it's changed, and we've talked about the places it's changed, and it gives power to the victim, enabling them to sort of take their destiny into their own hands, and they're able to go back to living normal lives at some point.